Once upon a time, a young rapper coming from the gutter of eastside Atlanta was given a choice. It was up to him to make a decision between two possible paths. One meant dedicating himself to music and becoming a rapper. The other meant living in the streets and following the gang code. Doing both at the same time was not an option. The young rapper got as far linking up with the Atlanta rapper Future, who showed him just how far he could make it in the rap game. However, the street calling was too strong for him, and the rapper, ProblemChild, decided to stick to the street life. Little did he know that this decision would get him behind bars with 5 homicide charges to his name. Not a lot is documented about the early life of Michael James Gunn, who's better known to the Atlanta rap scene by the moniker ProblemChild 5. There are very few occasions on which you could hear ProblemChild talking about his family and his upbringing. What we do know about him is that he grew up and spent his childhood days in the streets of the so-called Zone 6, in other words, the east side of Atlanta, Georgia. Living in the hood of the 6 is exactly where he earned his nickname ProblemChild, since he was always getting himself in trouble, even from a very young age. He'd have been going in and out of jail since he was eligible to enter one. ProblemChild also started rapping thanks to the people who were around him. The person who not only pushed him to do music, but also played a father figure for him was Big Bank Black, born Rashad Halsey.
He out, he been there since before I was born. So that's always been like a father figure.
Wow. Big Bank got ProblemChild to represent his Duct Tape Entertainment record label, or DTE for short. The two of them had a close connection, though Big Bank's son, Lil One, who was around ProblemChild's age. ProblemChild's connection with Big Bank will prove itself as pivotal for both the future of his rap career and his gang affiliation. See, Big Bank had a strong network of associates throughout the years. He knew well-established people from the music industry, like Playboy Carti, Future, and Young Thug. On top of that, Big Bank was deeply affiliated with the homicide crew from Atlanta. By extension, that meant ProblemChild was a member of the homicide crew, too. ProblemChild was not the only youngin' who was kicking it in the gang. He was accompanied by 2 of his closest buddies. First was Lil One, and the other was a dude by the name of Big Sosa. The 3 were notoriously close and could be seen in the streets of Atlanta together almost always. However, there was another rapper and ATL representative who used to be close with the homicide trio, but had a fallout: Ola Run. Ola grew up in appalling circumstances, with his father allegedly cooking dope while he was a kid. Very little was given to him in life, and he was pushed into crime from a young age too. But there was something positive in all the darkness that surrounded him. Ola Runt discovered his passion for spitting bars while he was serving his sentence for a robbery that he committed at the age of 16. In 2018, things changed drastically for Ola when he got out of prison and started recording some of his music and releasing tracks. Interestingly enough, it took Ola only 1 year before he was recognized by a big fish. It was Gucci Mane who found untapped potential in Ola Run and wanted him signed to his own label, 1017. Even though it posted as a wonderful opportunity in the eyes of many, Ola refused the offer. This tiny event would later paint the entire underground rap landscape of Atlanta black. Ola's refusal stirred up the pot between 2 trenches, the homicide gang and the Front Street henchmen. The formal reason why Ola refused the deal was because he found it unfitting, as he was already signed to a different record label. However, the most likely cause was his father, a henchman affiliate, who convinced him against signing the deal with Gucci Mane. Signing that deal would mean hopping in bed with the homicide gang, and that was not an option. Naturally, this would come as an insult to Big Bank, and before you know it, a new beef was born. Comes as no surprise that Big Bank turned down a feature on Ola Runt's track when he was asked him to hop on with a verse. Pissed off and enraged, Ola decided to make things official by hopping on wax and letting his thoughts flow on one of his songs. He dissed Big Bank and his son Lil One on his track Mob Father, threatening to mind their own business and keep his name out their mouths. ProblemChild wouldn't get involved in the beef until shortly after the diss track from Ola made its way around the rap world. Even though ProblemChild was not mentioned in that particular track, he would get dissed by Ola a little later in the Instagram live story. Ola called out ProblemChild for lying about having a rough childhood, and he claimed that he's actually Big Bank's stepson.
And ProblemChild, your daddy named Big O. Big O is a preacher. Y'all heard Big O is a preacher, man. Big O is a preacher and he's a chef. He cooked food, no dope. Y'all heard me? My father cooked dope. Y'all heard me? Your father cooked food, nigga. You talking about? And then listen, Big Bank stuff your mama when she was like 14, and he was like in his 20s. So that shit like you his stepchild. You feel me?
The game was on. Ola Runt officially got everyone involved, and the opposing gang was not ready to let things slide. ProblemChild came up with a diss track of his own called PP Son, where he threatened he would take out any member of the henchman gang if one of them crossed his path. Up until this point, no losses were suffered on any of the sides of this gang conflict, but that was short-lived. One of the guys from the homicide trio who we mentioned earlier, Big Sosa, got shot and lost his life after a dice game went wrong. Problem Child was seriously hurt by this loss, and he mourned the death of his brother across all his social media. He expressed his sorrow in a number of his later tracks. As expected, someone from the Henchmen soon got hit. A rapper by the name of 24 Left Eye, who was very close with Ola Runt, got shot multiple times and was sent to the hospital. It's not completely sure who did it, but Big Bang's son Lil One claimed that he was the one who did it during his conversation with Problem Child on Instagram Live. Since then, more and more people from both parties started getting involved, mostly on wax, coming up with diss tracks filled with accusations and threats from all sides. Even Playboy Cardi, who's not famed for having such lyrics, changed his ways and started calling out the Henchmen boys. Then Benji Blue Bills from the Henchmen sidetracked back by accusing Problem Child of taking Sosa's life. Coincidentally, quickly after his diss track came out, Problem just took another major loss. His homie R5 from the homicide game allegedly took his own life one night in the studio. This was the second person who Problem Child practically considered a brother that had died. But the spiral goes even further. Problem Child didn't even have time to mourn his deceased friends because he got slammed with none less than 5 murder charges. It seems that he was involved in major crimes in the last few years, and the PD finally caught up with all of his crimes. Once a young man who made hot rap tracks with names such as Future and Young Thug is now almost certainly facing a few decades in prison. With all these scary charges to his name, not even the best of lawyers could be able to make him look innocent. He's going away for good. Given the current affairs with the police in Atlanta coming to gangs with RICO charges on a monthly basis, this might come as bad news not only for Problem Child, but for the entire homicide collective too. Once you're linked with someone who did wrong, it's a matter of time before they dig something up about you too, especially with how vigilant and how open the Atlanta DA is about preventing gang violence in their community. Maybe something similar to what happened with the YSL gang could be coming their way in the near future. As for Problem Child, fans are utterly disappointed. In response, one fan said, "This seems like a nightmare. We can't say exactly what awaits Problem Child and his fellow gang members, but what we can say is that he got himself in a lot of trouble, and he could have been living the rap star lifestyle if he had only had some patience and someone to show him the right way to go."